August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina made landfall along the Gulf Coast. Within hours, levees failed, neighborhoods disappeared underwater, and over 1,800 people lost their lives. But Hurricane Katrina did more than destroy buildings. It exposed something about America. Today, we're answering this question. How did Hurricane Katrina reveal social and economic inequalities in the United States? And what lessons should we apply to future disaster responses? Our argument is this. Katrina showed that low-income and minority communities were disproportionately affected because of limited resources, slower access to aid, and long-standing systematic inequalities. The storm was natural, the suffering was entirely.
To understand what Katrina revealed, we have to look at what existed before it hit. According to the 2005 U.S. Census data, nearly 28% of New Orleans residents live below the poverty line. That's more than 1 in every 4 people. When evacuation orders were issued, thousands of residents didn't have cars. Public transportation shut down. Buses that could have evacuated people were never fully deployed. So evacuation wasn't just about decision making, it was about access. Wealthier families booked hotels and drove north, and many low-income families were left waiting for help that didn't come fast enough or didn't come at all. And geography made things even worse. Many of the city's lowest income neighborhoods were located in lower-lying areas. When the levees broke, those communities flooded first, and they flooded the worst. That isn't coincidence. That's structural inequality.
People think of Katrina, they remember the images. Families stranded on rooftops, crowds outside the Superdome, people wading through chest-high water. Most of those faces were black. At the time, a large percentage of New Orleans' low-income population was African American. So when poverty limited evacuation options, it disproportionately impacted black communities. Inside the Louisiana Superdome, thousands waited days for food, water, and medical care. Conditions were overcrowded and unsanitary. Families were separated. The documentary Trouble the Water shows firsthand footage from residents trapped during the storm. It reveals something important. Many people were not ignoring warnings, they simply didn't have the means to leave. This shifts the narrative from why didn't they evacuate to why weren't they supported. That question changes everything.
Some argue that Katrina was simply too massive, that no government could have handled a storm of that size perfectly. And yes, Katrina was catastrophic. But in 2006, the House of Representatives released a report titled A Failure Innovative. The report concluded that there were serious breakdowns at all levels of government, especially with FEMA. Communication failures, delayed deployment of resources, and lack of coordination worsened the crisis. This wasn't just about nature overwhelming infrastructure, it was about systems failing vulnerable communities. Disasters test governments. Katrina revealed weaknesses that had been ignored for years.
If Katrina exposed inequality, then the real question becomes, what do we do with that knowledge?
First, evacuation planning must account for the people without transportation. That means mandatory emergency transit systems that activate immediately, not days later.
Second, infrastructure investment cannot ignore low-income neighborhoods. Stronger levees and flood protection shouldn't depend on zip code.
And third, disaster response agencies must prioritize coordination and speed. Delayed aid costs lives, especially in communities already lacking resources.
Hurricane Katrina was a natural disaster, but it became a social disaster because inequality shaped who had options and who didn't.
It revealed that poverty and race can determine vulnerability long before a storm forms.
And it proved that preparation isn't just about predicting weather, it's about addressing systematic gaps.
If we ignore these lessons, the next disaster will expose the same flaws.
The storm passed, but the inequality it revealed is still something we have the power and the responsibility to fix.